Hello and good day to all our science wizards out there and to our young scientists. How are you? I hope you're doing well and feeling good for this video. I'm teacher Aisa and we're going to have another lesson for Science 5 and this is for quarter 1, week 5. And it is about temperature and its effect on the state of matter. So have you seen ice melt into water on a sunny day or a steam come out of a boiling pot? So that's because of temperature. So when things get hot, they can melt or turn into gas. And when things get cold, they can freeze or turn into ice. So now let's talk about how temperature helps change things from solid to liquid to gas and back again. So let's have our next page. So for our learning competency, you're going to learn how to describe and how changes in temperature cause matter to change in state, such as solid to liquid to gas. We also have our lesson objective. So first, you're going to define heat and how it travels and how you're going to determine the effects of heat on states of matter. So now let's talk about temperature and its effect on the state of matter. So let's have our day 1. So we're going to talk about heat in everyday life. Now, can you first identify which objects produce heat from this picture? So can you encircle? So what are the things that produce heat? Okay, based on these pictures. Alright, so we can see we have the sun, we have the lampshade, we have the kettle, okay, and we also have the oven, we also have the iron, and we have a light, okay, or a small chandelier over there. Okay, so those things produce heat. So let's have a short review. So you're going to prepare a piece of paper to answer the 15 questions given by the video. And you can work with your partner. So did you know that heat can make things expand? Hot air in the balloon takes up more space. So it's the magic behind how it flies high up in the sky. So it's a trivia. Okay, so now you're going to watch a video and I'm going to show the link. And I'm going to insert, okay, copy the link of the video at the description box so you can watch it separately, okay, and try to answer the video or the questions from the video, and you can work with your partner or with your seatmate. Okay, so it's a video from tutoring R, okay, states of matter. So that's the video link. I'm going to attach it in the description box. Okay, so for an overview of the video, you're going to classify the following materials into the 3 states of matter, which is the solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, so if you can't watch the video, so here are the things that you're going to see there. Okay, so you just need to classify it from solid to liquid and gas. So 1 is water, 2 is rubber duck, 3 steam from the boiling kettle, 4 we have ink, 5 air from hair dryer, 6 we have statue, 7 smoke from the chimney, 8 it's orange juice, 9 marble, 10 maple syrup, 11 air inside the balloon, 12 Rubik's cube, 13 we have vinegar, 14 pen, and 15 air inside a raft. Okay, so for our lesson purpose, what is heat and how does it travel? And what is its effect on the different states of matter? Okay, so those are the things that we're going to answer in this lesson. So before we head on to our discussion, so let's unlock first our vocabulary. So we have here the key concepts that we're going to learn, okay, and discuss in this video, which is connected on our topic. Okay, so first let's have, okay, so we have here the vocabulary that we're going to define and give meaning. We have thermal energy, heat, evaporation, condensation, sublimation, melting, and freezing point. So does it sound familiar to you? So I think you have some of this, okay, in your lesson, okay, in grade 4. Okay, you have a quick overview from of this terms, okay, and vocabulary. So first, let's have thermal energy. So thermal energy refers to the energy contained with a system that is responsible for its temperature. Okay, so thermal energy. So this kind of energy is an energy that comes from heat and it makes things warmer. So for example, when you put your hands near a heater, they warm because of thermal energy. Okay, so that makes object, okay, warm. Okay, and because of that, okay, so what makes our hands warm is the thermal energy. Next, we have heat. It's a form of energy. Heat flows from hot objects to cold objects. Okay, so heat is the flow of thermal energy from something hot to something cooler. So for example, when you touch a hot mug of chocolate, so heat moves from the mug to your hand. Okay, so yun ang ating example. So kapag humawak ka daw ng isang mainit na tasa ng tsokolate o mainit na tasa ng gatas, so yung heat, no, yung init ay lumilipat mula sa tasa papunta sa iyong kamay. So that is heat. Next, we have evaporation. It is when heat turns a liquid into gas. Okay, so for example, we have a river, okay, or a pond. Okay, so kapag sobrang init, diba, nag-evaporate, nagugulat tayo bakit nawawala yung tubig doon sa sapa. Okay, or for example, ngayon ay tag-ulan and then napapansin natin, di ba, kung doon sa may mga, for example, yung may napapansin kayong mga lubak, di ba, napupuno yan ng tubig or naiipon ng tubig dyan mula sa ulan. So, bakit yun nawawala? Wala namang nagwawalis, for example, sa isang kalsada. Hindi naman yan wawalisin ng tao. Pero, magugulat ka, bakit nawawala ang tubig? So, it is because of evaporation. So, when liquid turns into gas. Okay, so this is when a liquid like water slowly turns into gas. For example, a puddle of water dries up under the sun because it evaporates. So yun yung example natin kanina. So kung umulan at pagkatapos kinabukasan uminit, magugulat ka na lang maya-maya, wala na. Okay, another example is that kapag tayo ay naglalaba, di ba, basa, o kung hindi ka gumagamit ng dryer, basa yung ating mga damit na nilabhan at isasampay natin. Hindi ba? Pagdating ng hapon, lalo na kapag tirik yung init ng araw, ay tuyo na ito pagdating ng hapon. So, that is because of evaporation. So, next we have condensation. So, condensation is the process where a gas becomes liquid. It is the reverse action of evaporation, where liquid becomes gas. Okay, so ito naman yung kabaligtaran ng evaporation. So, kanina sa evaporation, yung liquid, di ba, natutuyo, nawawala siya, nagiging gas. Okay, so, but this time, condensation, this is when gas turns back into liquid. So, for example, water drops form on a cold glass of juice because water vapor in the air condenses. Diba? Bakit nagmo-moist? No? So, it is because yung gas turns into liquid. Okay. So, that is one of the example. Next, we have sublimation. So, sublimation is conversion of a substance from the solid to the gaseous state without it becoming liquid. Okay, so sublimation naman is when solid changes directly into gas without becoming liquid first. So, a popular example would be dry ice. It disappears into the air without melting. So, nabanggit natin yung melting. We have melting is change of a solid into liquid when heat is applied. Okay, so this is when a solid turns into liquid. So for example, ice cream melts on a hot day and turns into liquid. So same thing with ice cubes, okay? So nagme-melt ang ice cubes and it goes back into water. Okay, lalo kapag in-expose lang natin siya at kapag mainit din ang panahon, mas mabilis na matunaw ang ice natin. So from solid to liquid. Next, we have freezing point. So it is the temperature at which liquid becomes a solid. So freezing point is temperature when a liquid becomes solid. So for example, water freezes and becomes ice at 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is freezing point. Okay, so kapag na-reach na yung freezing point, yung water natin na nilagay sa freezer ay magiging ice na. Okay, or magiging solid na. So it's from liquid to solid. Okay, so for example, na-melt, no? Dahil nga, coming from, nag-melt na yung ice cream, but then, tinatry mo pa rin siya kasi favorite mo yung ice cream eh. So you try to freeze it back. So kailangan ilagay sa freezer and then at certain point, kapag na-reach na niya yung kanyang freezing point, no? Yung pinakamalamig. So that's the time when your melted ice cream goes back again into solid. Okay, so let's have our day 2. So now, based on the picture, so which state of matter is shown in the picture? Okay, so for letter A, we have, of course, it's solid. B, we have liquid. And C, we have gas. Now, what do you think? When you think of the word heat, what comes to your mind? So kapag naisip mo daw ang salitang heat, ano daw yung pumapasok sa utak mo? Okay, so heat is not matter but is a form of energy. It is a type of energy known as thermal energy. It is measured using a thermometer. Energy can be transferred to and from molecules through heat. A rise in temperature causes atoms and molecules to move faster and farther apart because they gain thermal energy. Okay, so heat is not a thing you can touch like a toy or a book. So it's not matter, it's a kind of energy and we call that thermal energy that makes things warm or hot. So we can measure heat using a thermometer. So it's like when you check if you have a fever. So when something gets hotter, the tiny parts inside called the atoms or molecules move faster and spread out because they are getting more thermal energy. So for example, when you heat water on the stove, the water gets hot and the molecules inside moves faster. That's heat energy at work. So if you happen to see, kapag nagpapakulo ng tubig, for example, si mama ninyo or si papa, halimbawa maggagawa ng pasta. So bago niya ilagay yung pasta, kailangan kumukulo yung tubig. So if you observe yung water kapag inopen na yung stove, unti-unti, 'di ba, nagbabubble siya. And from slow bubbles, pabilis ng pabilis hanggang sa yung bubbles niya kapag kumukulo na, 'di ba, talagang nagtatalasik-talasikan pa. It's energy at work. So that is the example when we say the water gets hot, the molecules inside move faster. Okay, so that's our example. So we have here some questions. So what do you think will happen to the molecules of the different states of matter whenever heat is applied? And what happens to the state of matter when heat is applied to the object? Okay, so we have here a worked example. You have your learning activity sheet. So heating and cooling a candle. So when it is hot, the temperature is high. And when it is cold, the temperature is low. So observe a candle, diba? Kapag sinindihan natin yung kandila, diba, natutunaw, no, yung wax. Yung from solid candle, nagme-melt siya. And kapag pinatay na natin yung kandila, or kapag naubos na yung kandila, what did you observe? Yung wax na nagmelt, na ipon sa baba, ay nagiging solid ulit. Okay. So what happens to a candle when heat is applied to it? And what about if heat is removed from it? So yun yung ating sinagot kanina. So kapag sinindihan natin yung kandila, nagme-melt, hindi ba? Mainit. Kailangan pa nating maglagay ng sapin. And then, after that, after a few minutes, observe ano na nangyari dun sa kandila na natunaw. So it goes back slowly from being liquid to solid. What happens to a candle when heat is applied? Okay, ito na rin yung kanina. Okay, so we have safety precautions. Ensure that hair, clothing, and hands are always safe distance away from the flame. Never reach over an exposed flame. So, hindi biro po, no, yung init. We have to ensure your safety. Okay, especially yung hair. Kapag masyadong mahaba ang buhok at gustong magluto, ipusod. Kasi pwedeng umabot yan, mahagip, no? Minsan pag humahangin, nahahagip ng apoy or yung heat, naku po, madali po yang magliyab, no? Mag-cause ng sunog. Then, and then, clothing. Okay, for example, ang lutuan natin, huwag po tayo maglagay ng kurtina. Okay, kasi may possibility na kapag humangin, diba, mag-touch yung ating kurtina doon sa stove ay maaari rin po itong masunog. And then, always have a safe distance from the flame. Never reach over an exposed flame. So we have here a few questions that we need to discuss. So what was the state of the candle before and after heating? So we're going to answer these questions. Okay, so before it's in solid form and after, okay, it becomes liquid. Okay, and vice versa. Kapag nawala na yung init doon sa candle. How did the state of the candle change after placing it in the bowl? When heated, the candle goes from solid to liquid. Okay, after placing it in the bowl, the liquefied candle begins to solidify as it cools down. What was the temperature of the candle when it completely melted and hardened? Okay, so as a guide, the temperature when it was melted must be higher than the temperature when it hardened. Okay. So how does the candle change its state? From a solid to a liquid and from liquid to a solid. So when heat is applied, it goes from solid to liquid. And when heat is no longer applied, it cools down and goes back to being solid. How does the candle change its state from a solid to liquid and from liquid to a solid? Okay, so ito yung answer natin. How about after it was heated? Okay, ito itsura ng molecules niya. What do you think caused the molecules to change their arrangement? Simple. The answer is heat. When the melted candle was poured into the can, what do you think the molecules look like? Can you draw it? Okay, so this is the answer. When the melted candle was poured into the can, what do you think the molecules look like? Can you draw it? Okay, so now for the synthesis part, what happened to the candle when you heat and cool it? And what do you think is the effect of heat on solid and liquid materials? So most solids become liquid at a certain temperature when heated, just like the candle when melted, or for example, a bar of chocolate. Okay, for some, mini-melt nila yon, hindi ba? So at certain temperature when heated, okay, yung ating chocolate bar ay nagme-melt siya. Okay? When we remove the heat from it, it became solid again. So heat affects the states of matter. So for day 3, okay, you're going to answer your learning activity sheet number 2. So water wonder. What happens to ice when heat is applied to it? And what happens if we continue to apply heat to it? Okay, so we have safety precautions in conducting experiments. Of course, number 1, read all directions. Number 2, before beginning a laboratory investigation, take extra precaution when handling chemicals. Never pour chemicals or other substances into the sink or trash. Never perform activities that are not authorized by the teacher. Do not handle equipment and without specific permission. So we have here some discussion questions or some key points. So what happened to the ice cubes when the temperature increased? So they melted. Next, what happened to water when heat was continuously applied? After melting, gas or vapor was produced after longer exposure to heat. Okay, so from the ice cubes, kapag nag-apply tayo ng heat, for some time, nagme-melt siya. But when we applied continuous heat, slowly, nag-evaporate na siya. And then, that's the time when liquid turns into gas. What happened to the volume of water before and after applying more heat? The volume of the water decreased after applying continuous heat. Now, where do you think the water goes? It was changed to gas or water vapor. What observable characteristics of water surfaced? Water can undergo change of state from solid to liquid to gas by applying heat on it. What changes in the state of matter did you observe during this activity? Okay, so we observed from being solid to liquid to gas. Okay, let's have our day 4. Okay, so we're going for this day, you are going to watch another video. Take note of the concepts you clearly understood and those you need more explanation. Make notes while you watch the video. Okay, so here is the video. Okay, you have the video file. Can you watch the video from that link? I'm going to attach that in the description box so you can watch it separately and try to have your observation. Okay, so we have learners' takeaways. We have word mapping. Okay, so in what way will your knowledge of the change in matter help in your day-to-day life? Okay, and let's have your formative assessment. So, okay, let's have a quick formative assessment and then later on, let's try to check if your answers are correct. Okay, so what term describes when matter changes from solid to gas? When matter goes from solid to liquid, the process is called blank. When matter goes from gas to liquid, the process is called blank. If you heat a solid, what will happen to it? It will blank. When matter changes state, its weight will blank. What state of matter has its own shape? Which of the following contributes to the changes in the state of matter? What happens to the molecules of matter when heated? What state of matter is shown in the figure below? Which diagram represents a liquid state of matter? Alright, okay, so thank you so much for being with me for the past 20 minutes and I hope you understand our lesson for this week. Okay, so thank you very much and see you again next week. So this is Teacher Isa. Thank you and bye!